Yo, what's going on guys? Welcome back to a brand new division video. What I guess today is something that a lot of people have been requesting in the comment section below, and that is for me to show you guys my all high-end / exotic build in patch 1.6. Now keep in mind, this build is still not complete, although I have been putting off this video for about 2 weeks because I've been still trying to get, better chest piece, better mask, better gloves and stuff like that. So just keep that in the back of your mind. This build can be even better once I do acquire those new gear pieces, but for now it is what it is, and it's not like this build is bad in PvP right now. It's still very strong, but like I said, it could be a little bit better. So without further ado, this is my all exotic / high-end build in patch 1.6. So what it consists of as my primaries is the Bullfrog and the MP7. Now the Bullfrog MP7 has been my go-to combination for a pretty long time now. There was a certain time of the game where I just ran 2 assault rifles, but I did realize that in those close quarter battles, I guess you could say, MP7 was just a little bit better and I could just melt enemies, especially with this much firearms. My MP7 does a ton of damage. So I did decide to go with a Bullfrog and MP7 as my 2 primary weapons. Now the first thing you guys can probably see is that I'm actually missing a talent on my Bullfrog. Yes, I am missing Unforgiving. Unfortunately, I do not have 4,790 stamina. And that is one of the biggest issues that has been bothering me for a pretty long time now, that I only have like 2 talents on my weapon where I could have, something like Responsive or even something like Brutal. Unfortunately, I cannot reroll Unforgiving and try to get something else for it because I did reroll my first talent. So for now, it is what it is. And even with my like Lightweight M4 or my LVOAC, I basically have Unforgiving on all my weapons. So that is, a little bit weird, and I'm not getting that bonus. But like I said, it's all good. Now for the damage I do get is 24.4k base damage, 20% enemy armor damage, which keep in mind does get normalized in Last Stand. So you do end up with 24% enemy armor damage. Now moving on to the MP7, it does come with 21.9k base damage, which is actually very high for a MP7 with 19.50% critical hit chance. Now for the talents, what I have on it is Responsive, Brutal, and Deadly. The only thing I wish I had a little bit different was Competent as my free talent, and then instead of Brutal, I wish I had Deadly and then Responsive. So if I did have Responsive, Deadly, and Competent, this MP7 would be probably my primary, but since I don't have that, I am still using the FAMAS or the Bullfrog as my primary weapon. Now for the gear, as you guys can see, I only have 1 exotic, and that is the Skull MC gloves. The rest of it is high-end, and I do have Predator's Mark knee pads. Now, the reason I do have Predator's Mark knee pads is because 1, they are a little bit better than the high-end knee pads I did have, and having accomplished on your knee pads isn't really too necessary. So like I said, I am rocking with Predator's Mark knee pads. For the chest piece, I'm using Reckless. A lot of people say Reckless isn't really that good for PvP or Last Stand. I personally like it. I do a ton of damage, although I am a bit squishy since my stamina or my toughness isn't that high. That's not really the point of a glass cannon build. For a glass cannon build, you obviously want to focus on doing a ton of damage, so that's why I am using a Reckless chest piece. Moving down to my mask, I am using Tenacious. Tenacious is very good. Whenever you use a medkit, you get a damage increase. And for my major attribute, I do have plus 4% all resistance, so that does come in a bit handy. Moving down to the knee pads, I already talked about it. For the holster, I'm using Nimble. Obviously, it's really good whenever you don't have medkits, don't have any heals, you can go cover to cover and pretty much recover your health that way. Coming up next, we have the Skull MC gloves. Now, the only thing I wish I had a little bit different about them was assault rifle damage or submachine gun damage instead of marksman rifle damage like I do right now. Unfortunately, I did receive them before Last Stand, so I did have to reroll firearms because they were very low. So I rolled firearms, and I didn't even bother rerolling marksman rifle. But now, since Last Stand is out and normalization is in the game, it would be a little bit smarter to roll off marksman damage and try to get something like assault rifle damage or submachine gun damage, and pretty much keep the firearms how it was, because once again, it is going to get maxed out in Last Stand. Now last but not least, I am using a Specialized Backpack. Once again, Specialized Backpack is very good. I would recommend using it on all your high-end or exotic builds. Even if you're just making like a 4 Predator's Mark or 4 Striker, a Specialized Backpack is very good. And I also have health on it and bleed resistant as my attributes. But that's pretty much all for my gear. In my weapons, I am mostly spec'd into headshot damage and critical hit damage. I like having a ton of headshot damage because if I do hit my headshots, I am melting a person in like 5-6 bullets with the Bullfrog. And I also like having critical hit damage on my muzzle brake just to pretty much even out, the headshot damage and critical hit damage. Now moving on to the character, what a lot of people are curious about is my weapon damage. So for my weapon damage, what I get is 27,254, and keep in mind that is with the bullfrog, and for my max health, I do have 223,000, which once again, it does go up by like 10k, almost 10k in last stand since all my gear does get normalized. And finally, my armor mitigation is 31.85% on this build. But like I said, the main purpose of this build was firearms and pretty much, DPS. So I do have around 500,000 DPS, 300,000 toughness, and 106k skill power when I'm not in last stand. Now the picture you guys are about to see on screen are my stats in last stand. Now keep in mind, this is without booster shot, this is without anything, helping my gear. This is the normal stats that I pretty much get when I spawn in. So 512,000 DPS, 320,000 toughness, and almost 110,000 skill power. Although in my mind it's still not complete, there's still a lot of different gear pieces I wish I could get. But for now, it is what it is. I've been using this for, like I said, a pretty long time. I've been really enjoying it and just melting everyone I see. But that pretty much concludes my high-end / exotic build in patch 1.6. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section below. But once again, if you guys did enjoy, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.